Okay, so I've got a couple of bits to do in the shed today. Well, won't just be today. Had to sort out the indicators on this, on the Gixxer project. Why was that so hard to think about? This one died. I pulled the cables too tight when I screwed them all together, and it actually pulled the fitting out of the light. Because they're only cheap, give it a chance. So I've rewired that. Luckily I had spares, as you do. So I rewired that. That's all working again now. At the same time I took the cowl off because I like this crazy hazing effect that it's come out with, but it is down to it's gone right through the paint, so it needs protecting. So I thought I'd just give it a clean off on all the rest of it, and what's it called, panel wipe it all down, and then just clear coat it again, just to give it a layer to protect it. So I thought I'd do a test piece on it, and I've really fucked it up. This is the polish. This green stuff is the polish, and I've obviously burnt through the paint and all the rest of it. Had the polisher set up, and either haven't had enough polish on it, or it's got too hot. Well, it's definitely got too hot because it's eaten through. So this all needs doing again. So I'm going to rip that apart with me poly sanding disc and redo it. My daughter's making me some more RS stickers, but this time they'll be slightly bigger. This is about 20 by 25. She's going to do them 25 by 35, so it'll show up a bit better. But yes, I'm going to clear all that off and start again. And whilst doing some of that and what's it called, spray painting, I'll be doing an oil change on the GS, which I'm a bit wary of because, and I don't know whether you'll be able to see this, there's actually a lot of, let's get my phone out and put some light to that. It's actually quite wet under here, which for a 40-odd-year-old bike you've got to sort of expect. But you can see there the sump plug's actually dripping, but you can also see there is a bit missing over this side. Either I or the previous owners hit something and broken off this edge, which should go round. So I don't know whether that has in fact fucked the sump. Should I say fucked? I shouldn't say fucked, should I? It's too late, I've said it too many times. So I'm very wary of this, because I don't know whether that's knackered or whether they've just put the wrong size washer on it, or no washer on it, or I think there is a washer on it. You can just about see copper washer there, can't you? Whether that's too big and it's leaking, or whether the thread's knackered on the sump. But it needs an oil change, so hopefully it'll be quite straightforward, or it could turn out to be a real disaster and I need to buy a new sump. Well, I won't know until I've done it, but it definitely needs doing, so I'm going to do it. So yes, as I say, in amongst doing the cowl for my project bike, that fella over there, I'm going to do an oil change on this after I've rescued my phone before it runs out of battery. So yes, a fairly busy Sunday, and if you're wondering what all this is about, it's my DIY makeshift exhaust gas extraction unit, which is quite effective until you rev the bike and then it just wants to blow it off the back there. So I'm going to set that up, start the bike up, get the engine a bit warm, then drop the oil out of it,
And while that's happening over there, I'll start ripping this apart. So, all manner of things going on. But first, exhaust gas extraction unit fitting. Right, that's the extractor unit set up, and due to the ropes and the carabiner, is that carabiner? Let's call it a carabiner. I can fit it wherever I want it to work. So that's ordinary tumble dryer ducting, probably guessed that. This is fire blanket, and it's never going to be used for running the bike for a long time, especially not the air-cooled bike in here. It is just for things like this where I don't have to take it outside to start it up to warm it up, or I don't start it up while I'm in the shed and then have to vacate the shed for that long that the bike cools down. So the whole idea of it is just to be able to run the bike to warm the engine. So let's see if it'll start. There you go, I've got no exhaust smell whatsoever, which leads me to believe I'll be safe from carbon monoxide. Quieten that fella down a bit. Yeah, possibly should have gone for a bigger extractor unit and perhaps a pipe for each exhaust, but it does its job, especially with the griller tape. So yeah, early days and all that, but you know, it's open to modification. But yeah, even this close you can't smell it, so I'm going with that's a success. Let that warm up a bit more and then start the oil change process. Okay, so 21mm socket. On the exhaust. Yeah, that wasn't particularly tight, so perhaps it was just loose. I don't know what sort of mess this is going to make. Can't seem to just get that nice. Do you know what I mean? Nice. You just want it nice. Right. Destined to go down my sleeve. Let's try not to make as much mess as we did with the V-Strom all over the floor. Oh yes, that is very black. As I say, I didn't get any service history with this machine, so I don't really know when the last oil change was, but that was definitely in need of changing. On the modern, what we got on the magnet, Nothing. The usual swarf. But no big chunk. Where are you? Get over there. Up. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, a bit of swarf. But as I say, I don't know when it was last changed. It might have been fucking... Oh, swearing again. Stop it. Can't hold that in shot. Might have been 40 years ago, for all I know. But, yeah, that's not terrible. But yeah, it's definitely black. Definitely black. And the copper washer is fairly loose, so I don't know whether a combination of this not being quite tight enough, this being the sump plug, not being quite tight enough, and the washer not being the right size, I don't know. Anyway, I'll clean that up, find another copper washer for it, and then start looking at seeing if I can get the cover off the oil filter. Right, back in a minute I suppose. Okay, so clean that up. Look at that, look how beautiful that is. Honestly, it's not a brand new one. I just cleaned it up. Meticulous about my cleaning. Obviously apart from my bikes, but my sump plugs, I like to get them spotless. Honestly, it's not a new one. Shut up. Right, so hopefully that felt good. And that one, I was a bit wary of these, in the same sort of position for all this detritus, nearly said another rude word then, hitting it, same as the head bolts, header bolts, exhaust bolts. So, yeah. I don't know whether my oil tray is going to be long enough to catch all of this, or whether it is going to end in disaster. First time I've had one of these paper elements to do. Nearly lost the washer, which is it is a grip washer. It's got a little star shape. You probably won't be able to see it. Anyway, it's a grip washer, take my word for it. That one's a bit more. Yeah, so this is definitely my first time. Oh, it's spring loaded, isn't it? Yeah. I remember now. I remember in the book about it being spring loaded. Just catch that last washer. You know, I don't know what to expect. Oh. There you go. A spring. Imagine that, a spring loaded system working on a spring. Wow. Wonders will never cease. So now we take the element out. Alright, so there's no other light. Oh, that's not right. It needs to go in there somewhere. Oh, it's all going to drip off the side, not on my new floor. Sacrifice the fibre cloth. just let that drain and then start refitting bits probably. Okay, got the new filter, got the new gasket, so pull this gasket out. Yeah, there's definitely some horrible bits on that. Right, we'll put a bit of oil. I don't really know. On normal filters, you put it around the seal, didn't you? A bit of oil. Right, a bit of oil around the new gasket. Shove it in the slot. Woohoo! Give the hole it's getting stuck in a bit of a clean out. Oh, all feels good. Let's just get my head in there. Why not? Exhausts. It's got a good flat face to seal on. So, it's just making this seal stay where it's meant to be. Right, so new filter. Which way round did it go? It's got to be that way, with the hole into the hole. Does that need some oil on it? Who knows? Who does this stuff? You'd think there'd be a handbook. There's stick some on there anyway. Right, lubed a rubber ring. Let's just have a closer look. That sits like that, and then just open this rubber seal. Don't come out of its sleeve. Made in Japan. That's possibly meant to be at the bottom. Yeah, see, it wants to come out. Stay in there. Stay in there. It is your place. That didn't feel right. Let's get this last one on. Not like that bottom one. Just didn't feel right going on. Oh no, that's alright. Alright. Doing my couple. On each one. To try and get it pulling up evenly. That seems to have bottomed out. Right, that's just got a little pinch on it. Because I'll check the, what are they called? Torque settings, that's the one. Have a look at this thing here. There's no nasty bits stuck within it, so that's good. Right, get this sump plug on. Might be worth getting a ramp. All this laying on the floor at my delicate age. Does remind me of when I was younger. I suppose it's good that the memory still works. The what works? Right. Let's see if this new one fits. Right. Of course, that's a different size, but it has, the one coming off was 21mm. I think this is a 19. Where's it gone? Yeah, it's 19. So the new one is 19mm. The old one was 21mm. Hopefully that's not going to influence whether the oil stays in there or not. And that is my drip tray full of oil. Let's add the V-Strom and now the GS oil. I think there was a bit in it before, don't know what that was from. What was I saying about my memory being good? Right, now I'm going to check the Bible, which is handily located. I'll just check this for torque settings. Okay, having checked the book, there is no torque settings for the sump plug or the little bolts on the front of the oil filter. So I went to a site called Manuals Lib. And again, that didn't have the right torque setting, but what it did have was a little chart at the bottom, tightening torque chart for the size of the bolts. So the thread diameter is 6mm on the oil filter housing. So I went with kilograms, kg-m, whatever that is, which gave me 0.4 to 0.7. So I went at 0.7, which seemed ever so tight, and let's see if we can stand you up a bit. Which seemed a bit tight, but the top two went up fine, clipped fine. The bottom one, the thread stripped, which isn't very good. So I found another nut. I just happened to have a box of bits that I took off my 600 and bits that I've taken off my 1000, and there happened to be a nut in there that's the right thread. It's not an ordinary M6, definitely not an ordinary M6. That doesn't want to, you know, you can get that, oh, I might be lying. Might be lying. But the thread on this is chewed, so it is an ordinary M6. Why didn't that go on earlier? So realistically, that stud wants to come out and be changed, but I haven't got another stud. So what I'm going to attempt instead is to stick this back on somewhere there. Right, so all I'm going to do in the bottom one is screw on a nylock and hope it gets onto some decent thread. That seems. And as I say, that's at 0.7, it just, even on the small torque wrench, it just felt like so much pressure going on. Let's turn it down. Let's go 6. So that's 0.6. Even that is horrible. That's the kitty. That's the kitty. Right. Right, so that's at 0.6, and hopefully that nylock nut at the bottom will hold that, and then I'll do some investigating and try and get hold of a stud to go in there. Possibly replace them all. The only thing is with the nylock, as opposed to the dome nuts, the thread is exposed, so something to watch out for. But hopefully that's got a good enough seal. I mean, it only has to pinch up on that that O-ring, the rubber seal. Right, now I'm going to try and find out what the sump plug should be done up to. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I was expecting problems with the sump plug rather than the filter housing. but we'll see if that's it. Right, I looked in the book and it has no torque settings for the sump drain plug either. So I looked online and that turned up pretty much nothing either. Right, so I looked in my GS1000 Haynes manual, and that's got, for the drain plug, it's got 23 Newton meters. So I'm going to wind my okay, so I found nothing in the manual for either the oil filter cover bolts or the drain sump plug for the GS. So I went online and the best I could muster was a website that gave me torque settings for the bolt sizes. So I've gone, this one's stripped as I've just said, but that's gone on further than the dome nut and has pinched, so I'm hoping that's going to be okay until I can do another oil change and change the, what's it called, stud. He's stirred. So hopefully that's tight enough. But I had no settings for the drain plug, couldn't find it anywhere. Had a lot of people saying don't do it too tight. There we go, and that's how tight I've done it. Don't do it too tight, or nip it up, or just tight enough. But no one gave me an exact figure, so I looked in my GS1000 Haynes manual, and in there it's down as 23 Newton meters. So that's what I've done it to. And as with the oil filter housing, I'll just be keeping an eye on all that to make sure there's no more oil coming out of it than there was before I started. So that is now all pinched up. So I've just got to add, there's quite a motor full of oil. It's 3.8 litres with an oil change. With a filter change, sorry. I'll stop mumbling in a minute. I'm trying to do other stuff and chat, and blokes aren't meant to multitask, are they? Alright, just wind off my torque wrench. Don't want to leave that wound up. Tidy a few bits away and then get on with it. Okay, that's a bit of tidying up done and getting a bit more sorted. And going with Kestrel Power 1 again, which I generally use on all my bikes. As I say, it wants 3.8 litres, so pretty much all of this. Okay, so that's about 3.5 litres in there, and on the sight glass you probably can't see it, but it's just up to the full mark, just over the full mark in fact. So I'm just going to run that, let it circulate through the normal oil filter and then let it settle, like any other oil change really. In it blood. I got a bit excited with the oil, so I took the filler bit off and just chucked it straight in and managed to make a mess. But that is pretty standard for me. But anyway, let's start the beast. start it up and let it circulate. Oil pressure light's gone out, which is always a good thing. Took a little while, but got to wait for it to circulate. It was a bit worrying, to be fair. Never had the light on that long, so it's like, oh, is it going to come up to temperature? Not temperature, pressure. You're full. Right, I'll just let that idle for a little while, get under there and check to see if I've got any leaks, especially that front oil filter cover. Okay, well at idle, I've got no leaks. I dare say when I start putting some revs through it, hopefully it'll just have its normal leaks for a 41-year-old bike. It looks splendid, doesn't it? Such a beast. Anyway, I'll let that drain back down, drop it off the centre stand and do a proper level floor check on the oil, and then top it up as necessary. But that essentially is the oil and oil filter done on my GS1000. Capital F for 1000, capital B for beast, capital F for filthy. Yeah, what a machine. Anyway, that's that part of the day done. I dare say in another video somewhere along the line I'll do the cowl, strip that down and clean it up and then repaint it. But yes, GS1000 oil change done. Gorgeous. Anyway, that's enough. Ta-ra.